You're born, you grow old, and one day you die. And somewhere in the middle of all that, you lie awake and think, what am I even made for? Maybe you know that night. No real achievements to your name. You tell yourself. Just existing. A replaceable part in some machine that wouldn't notice if you stopped turning. I don't want to fix that feeling with 10 quick steps tonight. I just want to sit with the question honestly, the way a man named Rumi sat with it 800 years ago. Because Rumi opens his greatest poem with a strange sound. A reed flute crying. Listen to the reed, he says. Listen to how it complains. It's telling a tale of separations. A hollow piece of cane, and somehow it's grieving something. Hold on to that. We'll come back to why a simple flute would weep. But first, let's name the thing that's quietly making you feel behind. Everywhere you turn now, someone is telling you to find your purpose. Find your passion. Find your ikigai, that tidy little diagram where the thing you love and the thing that pays you overlap in the middle. It sounds generous. It's actually a bit cruel, because it drops the entire weight onto you. You have to generate your meaning from nothing. You have to dig through yourself until you strike gold. And if you haven't found it by 20 or 30 or 50, the message underneath is loud and clear. You're failing at the one project that counts. Everyone else got the memo and you didn't. Type those exact words into any search bar. You'll find thousands of people, 20 years old, 24, 40, all asking almost the same aching question. I have no purpose. I feel empty. What am I even made for? You're not broken and you're not alone in it. But you may have been handed the wrong map. So people chase it. They switch careers. They read the books. They wait for some lightning bolt of clarity. And the ache doesn't lift. Most of the time it gets louder because they're hunting for something they believe they have to invent from scratch. Here's where Rumi turns the whole thing upside down. What if your purpose was never yours to invent? What if it was handed to you before you drew a single breath, and the restlessness you feel isn't proof you've failed to find it, but proof it's already inside you calling to be lived? That one shift changes everything. You're not staring at a blank page anymore. You're trying to remember something you already carry. So the question stops being invent a purpose and becomes find the one that's already yours. Sit with that, because I'll show you how. Start with the simplest claim, straight from the Qur'an. In Surah Al-Mu'minun, God asks a question aimed right at the fear. Did you think that we created you uselessly, and that to us you would not be returned? The word there is abath. It means in vain, for sport, for nothing at all. And the verse denies it flatly. You were not made for nothing. Whatever the dark tells you at 3 in the morning, that emptiness is not the truth about who you are. And underneath every particular calling, there's a floor that holds you up. In Surah Ad-Dariyat, God says, I did not create the jinn and mankind except to worship me. So before you've worked out a single detail of your path, you already have a reason to be here. That part is settled. Everything else is just the shape it takes. Now Rumi gets specific, and this is the heart of it. In his talks, the ones collected as Fihi ma Fihi, he says there is one thing in this world you must never forget. You can forget everything else, he says, and it won't harm you much. But forget this one thing, and it's as if you've done nothing at all with your life. And what is that thing? Rumi says every person comes into this world for a particular task. That task is their purpose. And if they don't carry it out, they've accomplished nothing, no matter what else they pile up. He gives you a picture for it. Imagine a king sends you to a village for one specific errand. You go, and while you're there, you get busy. You run 100 other errands, all of them useful. But the single one you were actually sent for, you never do. Rumi says, it's as though you did nothing at all. Not because the 100 were worthless, because you missed the one that was yours. So the task is assigned. A king sent you for it. It isn't a job title you brainstorm on a Sunday night. And notice this, most people live their real purpose far outside the work they get paid for. So, if you hate your job, that doesn't mean you have no purpose. You've probably just been looking in the wrong field. And here's the mercy folded into all of it. The Prophet, peace be upon him, said something recorded in both Bukhari and Muslim, the highest grade of authenticity there is. He said, everyone is made easy for what they were created for. Made easy. You weren't just handed a task and left to struggle. You were tuned toward it. When you're near it, it feels like coming home in a way that nothing else quite does. Now keep one more thing in the back of your mind. Rumi ends this same talk with a warning, and it's an image you won't be able to shake. I'm going to come back to it, because knowing you have a purpose is only half the story. First, the reed. Why does the flute cry? Rumi finally tells you. It cries because it was cut from the reed bed. It grew in the marsh, in the still water, surrounded by its own kind. Then someone came, cut it loose, hollowed it out, and carried it far from home. And every note it plays now is the sound of that missing. Rumi puts it plainly. Everyone who is left far from their source aches for the time when they were whole. That's your longing. That's the 3 a.m. ache with no name. It isn't evidence that you're random. It's the reed remembering the reed bed. The homesickness is a compass. It's pointing you back toward the one who made you on purpose in the first place. So how do you actually find your task if you can't just invent it? You stop interrogating yourself and you start noticing. Notice what feels made easy for you. Not what's effortless, but the thing you keep returning to, even when it's hard. The thing you'd still do if no one ever paid you. The people you can't stop wanting to help. None of that is random. Remember, the reed doesn't compose its song. It already carries it. Your only job is to get quiet enough to hear which note is yours. And there's an old Sufi saying that the paths to God are as many as the breaths of living creatures. Yours won't look like anyone else's. So stop measuring your road by the length of theirs. The comparison is the very thing keeping you deaf to your own note. Now that warning I promised. Rumi doesn't let us off the hook. In that same talk, he says, the real tragedy isn't the person who has no purpose. It's the person who wastes the purpose they were given. And he hands you pictures you don't forget. a blade of the finest steel used to hack apart rotten meat. A dagger set with jewels hung on a wall to hold up a broken pot. And a bowl of pure gold used to cook turnips. Sit with that last one. A bowl of solid gold and you're boiling turnips in it. That's a life spent on things far beneath what it was made for. Not an evil life. Just a wasted one. The gold was never the problem. The turnips were. So the question was never really whether you have a purpose. You do. You were made on purpose, made easy toward it, sent like that servant for one particular thing. The only real question left is whether you'll spend your gold on it or keep boiling turnips. So go back to that night. You're born, you grow old, you die, and in the middle you whisper, "What am I even made for?" Now you've got Rumi's answer. You are the reed. That restlessness in your chest was never emptiness. It was memory. It's the reed bed still calling you home. You don't have to invent your worth tonight. You just have to stop cooking turnips and go quiet enough to hear your one note. It was always there. It always will be.